evening. I hope you're all doing really well. Hope you can hear me okay and see me okay. Oh yes, that's working. I'm just having a quick look for some stamps to play with tonight. But I hope you're all doing really well, and that this Friday, that you've got this Friday feeling that I've got. Hopefully. Oh, so many cute stamps that I want to play with. But I had an idea, a particular stamp set that I wanted to play with. Now I can't find it. So while we get set up and while everybody joins us, I'm just having a little look around. Oh, there's one. So maybe the llamas, but I was actually looking for the hump day. So let's have a little look, see if we can find that in here. I was going to go for another, there we go, like beachy themed card this week, because we are off on our holidays, and this is the card that we made last week. Let me just have a double check that you can see me okay over on Facebook. So let's have a quick look, make sure that we're up and running, because sometimes, oh, my Facebook is not wanting to play ball. Here we go. Looking at the Facebook friends page, some lovely cards on there from Julie. So here we go. Oh, there we are, look. Julie. Oh, yep, you can hear me fine as well. Super duper. Right, so we're up and running. And hopefully you guys will find us and join us as we go along. I'm thinking I might just zoom in a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. But yes, so this is the card that we made last week, which is with the porthole lift the flap dies, which I absolutely adore, and I loved making this. But today I wanted to make something that was a bit more kind of quick and easy, because it is my last crafting live before we go away on holiday, and although we have got 2 more sleeps until we go, we still have so much to do. Those of you that signed up to our newsletters and are with us on social media and have seen the website will see that we have now, all shipping is suspended from today, because we obviously, any orders that come now, we're not going to have time to process them before we go away. So yes, so we have suspended shipping for now, but if you do want to make an order, you can still make an order. That we'll just ship them as soon as we get back from our holidays. So we are now on full on holiday countdown, which is amazing. So yeah, so my mind is full of packing lists and organisation lists and shopping that still needs to be done, and things that need to be done for the business still, both for Time for Tea and for Perfection, our hair and beauty salons that we also run. So we've got lots and lots to do, but I think we're getting there. I do think we're getting there. So as usual, all of this mad, crazy world that's going on in my brain at the moment, this time when we come to craft together on a Friday, is my opportunity just to switch off, really, because I get to chat to you guys, and I also get to do a little bit of crafting, which is very mindful. It calms me down, and it does just mean then that I can empty my mind for at least an hour that we're together, because I'm hoping that we'll be able to do something in the next hour, a nice project that we can do together, which means then that I can then resume all the madness and chaos afterwards, but at least I get a little bit of a break from it at the moment. So this is my plan. So I've got two stamp sets here. I've got the Happy Hump Day, and I've got the Llama Tell You sets. Now, I love both of these, and I haven't really used them for such a long time. And I wanted to use them with a stencil and then with a die as well. So again, this is going to be quite a quick and simple. Hello, Annalisa. Sorry, I forgot to say hello to Annalisa. And yes, 2 more sleeps. We cannot wait. So we have the Beach Builder stencil. I have had a lot of inquiries about the Pyramid Builder stencil, which we don't have in stock at the moment, but I hope to bring that back at some point because that is an awesome stencil. I do have, let's have a look. Oh, I've got an adorable stencil from the new release. I've got 2 adorable stencils from the new release that would work so well with this set, but I am going to resist showing you that until we get back off holiday. So we come back off our holidays the week commencing the 10th, and I think that first Friday back I might do a bit of a reveal for you of the new release. What do you think? Would anybody be up for that? So my plan is, I think I'm going to use this this stencil. That's the Pyramids one. I don't know if that's shining a bit on screen, but the Pyramids one is so cool because obviously you can build your pyramids. I'll just bring that up on screen a little bit more, and then you've also got the little scene at the bottom, and you've then also got a little bit of this can make some cool like rocks and things for your background. So it's a really cool stencil to build up a scene. So that is very cool, but because we don't have that in stock, I'm not going to tease you with that one, but I think I'm going to use this one instead because I've not used this for such a long time and I love this stencil. It is amazing. It's called the L'Amazing Pattern. I couldn't remember what it was called. It's the L'Amazing Pattern one, this one. So let's pop these gorgeous stencils back in their little home. And then dies wise, again, I'm looking for a die that is going to give me somewhere to place my my llama pattern, which I love my Windows dies, you see, my window dies, and again I've got a new die coming out that would be awesome for this. My window dies are so good for this kind of project. We could even go slimline actually, with some slimline circles. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I might do that actually because we've not done that for a while. And this is also a great one because again we can have our pattern in the background. Oh, these could work really well. Okay, I think I've got a plan. I think we've got a plan. So we could either go with, we've used these quite recently, haven't we? So let's change this up a bit. And I think a slimline card would be a nice one to do. So Annalise is asking, will the new release be on the 14th or the 21st? Very cheeky question. So I had originally planned it being the 14th, Annalisa, but we are only just back off our holidays, so I think that might be pushing it a little bit. So I am going to push it back to the 21st. I had considered making it the end of the month, but I thought you guys wouldn't want to wait that long. So we may do a pre-order situation the week before, because I know we don't have huge stocks and I know that these are going to sell out because you're going to want these. Everyone's going to want these. I just know they are. So what I want to do is give you all a chance to get them, particularly those of you that follow us regularly and that are subscribers. So I am going to I think pop those up as pre-order, but yeah, the 21st I think is going to be release day. So Annalise is just checking so that she's got her samples. That's amazing. So let's have a look at this. Shall we Should we do llamas? I feel like I fancy doing llama. I'm feeling the llama love today. So, do you know what we've not got? We haven't got like a sentiment. I don't think we've got a sentiment that is about, yay, we're going on holiday. So I don't know whether to try and mix some of my sentiments up somehow. Because you could have the camels with camel with me on holiday, but I don't think I've got an on holiday sentiment. Have we? That's interesting, because I could make one, and obviously you could use like, so we've got in the Christmas set, we've got holiday, so we could, I'm sure we could find a sentiment or a word die that says, a word sentiment that says on, and then use the holiday. So camel with me on holiday would be really cute, and I could send this to Anne. That would be quite cute, wouldn't it? I'm thinking that might be quite a fun little thing to do. I would just need to find a sentiment somewhere that said on. Which we've got to have something like that, haven't we? So let's have a little look at what we can find. This could take a little bit of looking for, but if push comes to shove, we do have the Tippy Tappy typewriter, but that is might be a little bit large in terms of the sentiments, because they are a little bit larger than the ones in the set. The only other thing to do is to mask off an O and an N to put it together, because we do have, oh, so we've got don't have the hump. So if we mask off the D and the T, we've got on. Camel with me on holiday. Right, we're doing this. I'm into this. Oh. So I was going to do llamas, but now we're doing camels, because of the sentiment is going to be so cute. Right, so love this idea. So we could either go with, I'll leave them in the packets just so that I can see, because I'm just going to grab my little camels here. So we could do cute camel number 1 in there, and then cute camel number 2 in there, and then in the middle we could do the camel with me on holiday. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so cute. Or we could do the camels here with the camel with me on holiday. That could also be very cute. I think I might go with this one. Right, okay, and we could also have like a couple little of the cacti on there as well. Right, so we need, first of all, we need to create our slimline card. So what I do with the slimline cards usually, have I got some cardstock here, or is that paper? That feels like paper. I need some cardstock. What I would normally do is I would use my my dies to line up where I wanted my how big I wanted my stencil. my card base to be. So I'm going to use this one. You could use the simple slimline nesting dies to create your largest, use the largest one to create your card base. I can't speak. I'm so excited about this card. It's got me too giddy. So we are going to have to use the cardstock this way round, and I'm going to grab my We Are Memory Keepers scoreboard for this, because this is a cutting tool and a scoreboard all in one, and it's A4 in size, so it's perfect for this project, perfect for your slimlines. So I'm just going to use my I keep calling it a stencil, my die. So my die is here. I'm going to grab my scoring tool, and then where the largest part of the outer part of the die is, that's where I'm going to put my score line. So I know where my score line needs to be. It's just there, and that will sit exactly where my my die needs to be. So I'm going to score all the way up there, like so, and then I'm going to fold this over. So, and then I'm going to burnish that crease with my tool, like so, and then I'm going to cut off this excess with the trimmer. So you just turn this piece over, and now it turns from an edge that you can put your scoring up against. It now becomes a cutting tool. So this groove here is where it's going to cut. So we just pop this back over the top, and then I pop my blade down, and we make a nice clean cut along the side there. Now this is obviously now too long, so to chop off this end I'm not going to use this tool, because this tool is good for slicing through, you know, one piece of cardstock, but for a double piece of cardstock I need something with a bit more oomph. So my Tim Holtz tonic trimmer has much more oomph to it, so I'm going to pop my die in place, and I'll just lift that up there, and then I'm going to slot this underneath, and I'm going to line up where that end point is. So I'm looking at the edge of my trimmer here and making sure that edge lines up with the edge of where my die would be, and then I'm removing the die. Make sure that this guard is pushed down in place. Don't put your fingers over the edge of the guard. The guard is to protect your fingers. But then I'm just going to use my guillotine to trim off that. And this is 250 GSM cardstock, but double the width, because we've gone through two at the same time. And the tonic trimmer just makes it so easy. So that's first. So that's my card base. Love that, absolutely beautiful. So I now need to cut this again from some cardstock, because I want the frame, and I want the frame, excuse me, to be white, I think, against a background that I'm going to stencil, and the stencil I will do directly onto my card base. I think you could obviously do this in different coloured cardstock, but I like to do it in the white. I think it just really pops against your whatever colour you're going to do in your background. So we know that we need to use our cardstock in portrait, but that's going to be quite difficult to go through my machine, because my machine, my die cut machine plates are very warped. So all I do is I just cut around the die shape, line that up again, and I make sure that I've positioned that, secured that in place with some washi tape, so that we know that that is not going to move around. And then we'll pop this through the machine. So as you can see, my very well used, very well worn plates, this will now sit at an angle on those plates, and that will get the best pressure through my machine. everybody's machine will be slightly different. Oh, there we go. Depending on the age and the amount of use it gets, the pressure will alter over time. I've had my my machine for a few years now, so you know that's probably why it's the pressure is as it is. Now with this this frame, which I do absolutely love, there are two ways you can use it, because you can use the bits that pop out. So these shapes here are really good to ink blend onto, and you can piece them back in onto your project, but we're not going to do that today because we're going to keep it nice and simple. This cardstock, however, is great cardstock, so I'm going to keep those scraps because I can add my sentiments on. I can use that for my sentiments, which I think would be an ideal thing to do. For this, I am considering whether I also cut this out of some foam, some fun foam. If I've got a piece big enough, which I'm not sure if I have. Just having a little flick through. Definitely need to get some more fun foam in my life because we are running short. I think I've got one piece of the white, but I might use a bit of black against this one just to see what this looks like. So I only have black. I've got one piece of white, like I say, so I'm going to try the black and see what this looks like. You can of course use your foam tape, and you could also use several layers of cheap cardstock. So if you've got some cheap cardstock, just cheap white cardstock that you're not going to be able to ink blend on, it's not quality that you need to do any colouring or anything like that, then just cut it, use that, cut out maybe 3 layers, layer those together, and then you've got you've created a little bit of a chipboard piece. So this you may see behind my white background, which is why I was a bit not sure if this will work, because you do still see a little bit of the fun foam when you cut these out, but you can see just how beautifully it cuts, even though we are cutting a different texture of product rather than just cardstock. It's just made light work of this. It's even, and again, I don't know if you can see this on screen, but it's even put in the little stitch lines. So it's even cut those. So that on the back of there, I think works really well. Because of the pressure of the plates, it does sometimes squash foam a little bit. So you might see that it is not fully aligned. However, that can be quite cute in terms of a little bit of a shadow. So we will, and we can always trim off any excess. So let's get rid of those. And again, you can use those, cut those out to the shape of your image as well. So say we were to stamp out one of our I think they're quite big enough for the camels, but if we were to stamp out our camels, or maybe one of our little cacti on here, you could use the coordinating die to stamp out the foam, and again you don't need them foam tape for that, so that's quite a handy little tip as well. So I'm going to stick this together now. Let's see if this works. See if we can get this to line up as we want it to, because I can see already that it has kind of squished it a little bit, but not to the point where we won't be able to manage it, I don't think. So I'll work with it. So a bit of glue on there, and then let's line up the middle piece first, and then we'll work from that. And as long as our middle pieces, these little tracks here, all line up nicely, I don't mind if the outside edges are not quite perfect, because I can trim those right down. So using liquid glue is really helpful, because it means you can just manipulate that foam into place, whereas if you use like a foam, not a foam tape, a tape gun, tape runner, something like that, there is no wiggle room. Once it's on, it's on. So we're just popping all of that in place. I quite like the contrast of the black against the white, and it's not, you know, really noticeable. It just creates almost a little bit of a drop shadow. So yeah, I'm not against that. So there we go. So that is our frame for our slimline card, which is looking really cute. I actually quite like the contrast of the black there. Julie says, hello. Not sure you can watch for long as the boys are demanding. Glad they go back to school on Monday. Love that trimmer. She has one as well. Nazli says, hi. It can create an offset shadow. Great minds think alike. Thank you for that, because yeah, that was exactly where my brain went to. So you, I must have read your mind. And thank you for watching. I know it's a weird one this week, because it's been school holidays, hasn't it, this week? So I know a lot of people might not be available to watch this week because of that. So I'm very grateful for anybody who's watching. And if you're watching the replay, because you know, you've had to wait until the kids go back to school before you can you know, have some crafty time, then thank you for watching. So this is my card base. I'm turning my silicone mat around portrait style, so that I've got a good base. And what I'm also going to do, I think, is I'm going to use a little bit of my washi tape and just make it into a little bit of circle it back on itself, so that I can hold down my my card so that it doesn't move around and keep opening. And then I've got my stencil here. Now, as you can see, my stencil doesn't fully fit the whole of my my card base, but that's okay, because it's a repeating pattern, so we can just move it down as we go along. So I think I'm going to start, yeah, I'll start with the circles at the top, and I'm going to line this up, and then I'm going to flip it over and add a bit of tape. I think we're about to get a little visitor. Hello there, little girl. Can I help you? Are you coming to craft with us? Are you coming up? Come on then. Hello from Maisie. Nazi, sorry, I can't see with my eyes. Nazli says, it's wonderful to watch live and see your thought process. Thank you. I know, well, this is the thing, is that I don't do pre-organised or pre-designed. We just make it up as we go along here. And that's what I really enjoy doing, is like I say, sharing the process with you of how I go about things. So speaking of process and how we go about things, Maisie is having a little bit of a, she's sat on the chair next to me, she's needing her favourite blanket. She loves crafty time. So I think I showed you this last week. This is my little book of shades for and examples of different combinations of distress inks for me to play with. And this one here is one that I think I'm going to use because it's really giving me those kind of holiday sunset kind of vibes. So I just need to check with myself what colours I've used, because we've got a beautiful yellow, which I think is probably going to be fossilized amber or scattered straw. I've got the beautiful orange here, which I'm thinking is going to be maybe a ripe persimmon, which that looks nice. And then maybe the wilted violet. I don't think it's the seedless preserve, but I do love the seedless preserve as a colour. So I might go with that rather than the wilted violet. But I think that possibly is wilted violet. I might go with a bit of seedless preserve because I do enjoy that. So based on this colour scheme here, I want the yellow at the top, the middle bit to be in orange, and then the bottom will be my seedless preserve. So we're going to start with a bit of scattered straw at the top. I'm going to use one of my new blender brushes for this. I think it might be more of fossilized amber, but we'll see. So I'm just going to hold this down with one hand because this is quite a delicate stencil, and obviously we don't want it to move too much. I do want to blend the colours together, so I'm going to overlap my central area a little bit. So this portion here is what I'm considering to be my kind of central point. So we're going to bring the colour down a little bit because we want to overlap that with the orange. And then I'm just adding plenty of colour on here because we want to get a really nice bold coverage. If you're finding that you're lifting your stencil a little bit, what I do find is sometimes easier if you just work in smaller areas. I'm trying to work fairly quickly because we are, we've got time constraints, but I think that has got us a nice bit of coverage there. So let's pop that back on there. We'll pop my lid back on my brush, and then for the ripe persimmon, I'm going to move to my orange, and I need my purple brush as well. So let's grab both of those. So I've got my lovely orange brush. This ripe persimmon is an absolute beauty of an orange. Look at that. That is so vibrant. That is so gorgeous. One of the cards that I did, I think I did it with the llamas rather than the camels. I used this stencil because it is obviously the Lamazing stencil. I did use this particular stencil, but I used similar colours to this actually, and I just ink blended the entire background, and then I used white texture paste through the stencil over the top, and that looked amazing. So I'm going to be a little bit careful here because I've got a straight line there that I don't want to I don't want to create a harsh line here in orange for when I come to do my next piece. So what I'm going to do to combat that actually is I'm going to use a little scrap of cards of white paper here, and I'm going to line that up with the edge of my stencil just here, so that I will, in fact I'm just going to overlap the edge ever so slightly. I'll use a little bit more washi tape just to secure that in place. So that's creating a little bit of a barrier now, so that when I come to do this end piece, I'm going to get that ink onto the paper but not onto my card base. So we'll get a nice, clean, crisp stencil image. So let's go back to the scattered straw here, and I want to, like I say, I want to overlap and blend the orange into that yellow here. And that's just going to make that look just that little bit more blended. Love that. So I'm going to take my my brush and just rub that on my microfiber towel so that gets any of that excess ink and any of that orange off there. So I can remove my little mask now, and let's look at what we've got on the back of here so far. Love that! Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Right, okay, so I'm just going to pop my paper back down over the top, and I'm going to grab my little chamois here. I'm creating such a mess because I need to clean my stencil before we move on to the purple. So let's give that a good clean. The chamois that I'm using is just one that you would use on your car, and I keep it in an airtight container, so it's a little bit damp but not soaking wet, and I keep that in an airtight container, and it always stays damp. It doesn't smell, doesn't get mouldy, doesn't get nasty, but it means then that I can clean up things like my stencil here, but it's not soaking wet. So it's ready now for me to move on to my next stage, which is going to be the purple stage. So we're going to mask off again this bit here. I'll put my stencil on first actually, because so we've still got a bit of the washi on here, so let's just remove that. So we need to line up our stencil, and instead of using the I'm using the little dots to line my stencil back up underneath, you see. So if you use the stencil to line that up, and then we can carefully put a little bit of washi there, so that we make sure that we're lining this up exactly where we need it to be. And then I'll pop a little bit of washi, stuck to my fingers, I can't get it off. There we go. In fact, I'll pop it down there because it's stuck to my finger. Why won't it come off my fingers? So sticky, but it won't stick to my project. There we go. So make sure I've lined that up correctly. There we go. And then I push that down, and then that's stuck to there. That's all lined up. Beautiful. So because I don't want this, again, I don't want this situation where we're going to get ink onto our orange. We don't want, I actually do want a bit of the orange to go up onto my other stencil actually. So let me think about the best way to do this, because I do want a little bit of a bleed but not too much. So do I just want it to go onto the dots, or what if I line it up a little bit further? So what if we do this? Sorry, not this, this. There we go. Now that's going to work much better. That's how we do it. There we go. Now I figured it out. So when we ink onto this bit here, we will overlap ever so slightly, and that will match up with the rest of the pattern. So that's my advice on doing that. Let me catch up with the comments. Hello to Maisie from Nuzly, thank you. And she says, I've got a few Distress Oxides. Any tips for a brand new beginner? I haven't taken it out of the packaging. I'm nervous about messing up. And when you blend the yellow in with the orange, does your yellow brush get contaminated? That is so beautiful. Oh, and how do you clean the stencil if you don't have a chamois? So if you don't have a chamois, you can rinse your stencil. We'll start with that question. You can rinse your stencil under a cold water tap. That will be absolutely fine. And then use a bit of kitchen roll just to wipe off any excess, or just leave it to air dry. Or you can use like a wet wipe, or something like that. Those wipes that you might get, cleansing wipes. For your other question about the yellow brush, so I think we just showed you there that I use my microfiber cloth just to clean off any excess. But you can see there that I've blended both of those together, and we don't have any contamination. We've just got that yellow ink on there. If you do get a little bit of the orange on there, it will just wipe off when you give that a rub off the top. For your distress inks, distress oxide inks that you've got, get those cracked open and have a play with them. At the end of the day, it is just a piece of cardstock. So if you mess up, doesn't matter, just pop it in the bin and we'll start again. And this is why I love using my inks, because they are, you can take any piece of white cardstock that you've got and make it into something beautiful like this. So this is just plain white cardstock that we're now making our own unique card and pattern from. But if it didn't work out and we didn't like it, well, that's fine, we'll just have another go. What I would say is, if you're stenciling for the first time, you're using inks for the first time, our blender brushes will make this so much easier. If you're trying to use a traditional type of tool with the foam pads on the bottom, that is going to give you heartache. And you may think it's that you're not doing something right, but it is purely because it is so much more it's so much easier with the brushes. So I'm going to go in with, am I going to go in with Seedless Preserve, or shall I go in with, I feel like I need to use an older brush, because I don't want to contaminate my beautiful new brush here. So let me have a look for my other brush. Here we go. So this is a brush that's been very well loved. As you can see, it's full of ink, but it works beautifully still. So holding down my stencil, and then let's get this lovely rich purple colour on here. Oh, I love Seedless Preserve. Is got to be one of my favourite purple shades. It's such a beautiful rich colour, and this actually blends really well with orange. The other purple, should I say, is a bit more, I guess the tones in it make it a bit harder to blend with a colour like orange. So you sometimes get a bit of a muddy look, whereas this is, I guess it's a bit pinkier. So it means that that blending process is so much easier with an orange, which has got red tones in it. So you can see I'm overlapping that orange, and we're working some more of that colour in so that we can get a really intense coverage. Oh, I've moved my stencil, don't worry, that's fine, we'll just stick that back in place. My hands are going to be covered in ink, but that's absolutely fine. So just make sure that you have got that lined up really well. So I moved mine a little bit, but you can easily see where it needs to be adjusted, and then we'll just add a bit more in the middle. And I'm using quite a bit of pressure because I like an intense amount of colour, so to get a really good blend, you really want to be pushing through that stencil and making sure that all that colour has been blended in. So let's just go over all of those edges, make sure that we've got that fully blended. And then a little bit over that orange again, just to make sure that we've got that all blended through. You can see all of the colour that's on there now, and all of the colour that's on my fingers. So we're just going to scrub that off onto our microfiber cloth. So if we give that a really good scrub onto there, when I get my piece of paper here and I rub that over the top, you can see that there's nothing coming off on there now. So that's although my brush looks dirty, it's actually clean. So I look, that's why, this is why I swear by our brushes. I would, you know, I would swear by them all day long because they are such amazing quality. So we can remove that off there, and we can remove our stencil, and look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Those colours are just stunning. Love them. So again, we need to do a little bit of a clean-up exercise, both of me and of my stencil and my silicone mat. We'll pop these away so that we don't get them dirty. Oh, pop them up there, out of the way. There we go. And then let's have a little clean up. And then we've just got to do our little camels, haven't we? And we should be getting there then, to be able to pop this all together. Is anybody crafting along tonight, or are we all just enjoying watching the process? Is anybody using this as an opportunity to craft along? And if you're crafting along, what projects are you currently crafting? What are you currently doing? I'm actually going to use one of these little hand wipes for myself to clean up my hands because they are filthy now. And I don't want to get that all over my project, so I'm just going to give them a little bit of a clean up. The seedless preserve is so beautiful. It's on my to buy list. I love that. Yeah, it is such a gorgeous colour. Definitely one of my favourites. Top 5, I think. After the yeah, I would say maybe top 10, because we've done our top 8 as our new our newest brush range. So yeah, I would say they're my top ones, but the I would say the seedless preserve would come next, definitely. And I do like a chipped sapphire, you know, when you're looking for an intense colour, but we've gone for the pastels for the moment. So right, we'll stop waffling on. Let's get on with the project at hand. So this is our background, absolutely gorgeous. This is going to sit over the top. Love that. So that's just going to sit over the top there. Isn't that gorgeous? And then we're going to have our little characters sitting on here. So we need to do a little bit of stamping, and I can see that my background is a little bit larger than my die, because obviously we've used that as a template. So what I might do is when I stick that down, I might just trim around that. So let's stick that down now, in fact, and let's and then we can get our little camels coloured and die cut. And then I need to think about that sentiment, don't I? Piecing that sentiment together. It's going to be fun. I love little challenges like that, when you're mixing and matching your stamp sets and things to create something that's bespoke. I just love that. So we're going to pop that on there, and then you can see I've got a little bit of an overlap just here, so I'm going to trim that down once that's dried, but we'll pop that to one side for now, and then let's get some stamping done. And I'm going to grab some stamping card somewhere. Where have I popped that? There it is. So I've got some Crafter's Companion Nina Classic Crest card to do my stamping. So I've got a couple of little scraps, or a little scrap here. We can use one of those. This is not a bright white in colour, It's beautiful for stamping on. I absolutely love it for stamping on. But for my sentiments, I prefer a bright white. So I will probably use maybe these offcuts from our background and our card base to make my actual sentiments. But for stamping my little characters, let's use the solar white. So we've got character number 1, character number 2. Well, we'll have a couple of little little cacti because they are cute, aren't they? And then, like I say, we've got the sentiments, so we'll come to those afterwards. We'll concentrate on the characters for this part, and then we'll stamp out the sentiments. And the sentiment, I'm thinking, what colour should we go for? Maybe an orange or a purple background would work, or a really nice bright, maybe a nice bright yellow would work. So I'm using my stamping platform, as you can see, because that will help me if I need to do any additional stamping. Like I've just missed the corner of his little foot here, so I'll just add a bit more ink onto that, and then we'll go back in. Perhaps just didn't apply enough pressure, but that's sorted that out, absolutely no problem. So that's my tuxedo black ink, and then I've got my VersaFine here. Again, I'm using the same chamois that I used to clean my stencil. If you don't have a chamois like this, I do recommend that you get one, because like I say, it will make your life so much easier and quicker. So they are like you could probably just get them off Amazon, somewhere like that. They're really not expensive, which is why I love them. So we were going to use the don't, weren't we, as well? So should we have a go at our little sentiments while we're stamping? So I like to get all my die cutting done, all my ink blending done at the same time, and then all my stamping is done at the same time. So we've got our little characters ready, and then we've got all of these little bits of offcuts of cardstock, which I think we could definitely use. So if we pop that on there, that should fit the holiday sentiment. And then we've got another piece here. Again, you just butt it up against the edge of your stamping platform and you should be absolutely fine. So we've got Camel with Me, and pop that one on this one, just there. And then this is the one that we're going to be doing a little bit of jiggery pokery with, should we say. So I'm going to pop that one just there. We don't need all of this space, but obviously that's the length of the stamp. So what we do with this is we get these all arranged on here. That's lifted, that one, so let's just double check that that works. Yep, that also works. So for this might be a bit difficult for you to see. I'm going to pop a bit of white cardstock underneath. This is just our little, this might make it a little bit easier. So this is the sentiment, and we don't need anything other than the on. So we're going to use some washi tape to block off everything that we don't need. So we don't need that there. Oh no, we do need that bit. I've covered up the N by mistake. So we don't need that bit, and we don't need the D. These letters are very close together, So that is going to make it a little bit of a challenge, but we can always use a white jelly roll pen to uncover anything that we don't want. We've got the camel with me, and then we've got the holiday. So for the holiday, oh, let me reach up here. I've got this Memento Tangelo, or we've got some cantaloupe. I might use the cantaloupe. The cantaloupe looks nice, so let's use we'll use the cantaloupe for the holiday in there. I'll just close that door just so that you can't hear what's going on downstairs, because it looks like we've got ants come home and we've got visitors. So we'll just pop that bit of my Memento on that one, and then a bit of Memento on this one. So they're all stamped, but then before we apply this to our cardstock, we need to remove the masking tape. There we go. So now we should be able to stamp these onto our cardstock here, and only have the bits that we actually need. So we've got the on, we've got the holiday, and we've got the camel with me. Hopefully this works. This is such an experiment. So let's have a look. Oh, the holiday is stamped really well. And then we've got the camel with me, and we've got the on. Love that. So the on, I think that's, do you know what? I'm not going to mess with that. It's not stamped perfectly, but what I can do is I can use my my pen just to add a bit of extra colour to that, so you won't even know that didn't stamp perfectly. But I'm actually really pleased with how that's turned out. So we're not gonna interfere with it, because the more you start interfering and messing with things, the more likely you are they will mess up. So we've got our holiday, camel with me on holiday. Love that. Okay, so let's pop our stamps back. What did I do with my stamp set that my holiday came from? So the holiday stamp, where's it gone? Is this it? Here we go. The holiday stamp actually came from the Santa Stops Here set, stamp set. So this is like more of a kind of a memory keeping set, but it's also great for making tags for your Christmas projects and different Christmas cards and projects and things. So the holiday came from there, so that worked really well. I love that. Again, it's just using your sets for something a bit different, and mixing up how you use them. And then we've used the camel with me, and then the don't have the hump sentiment to make just a really unusual, unique sentiment of our own, which again is just one of the great things about having, you know, sets that work together as well as these do, because you can mix and match then. So right, now we're getting a bit organised. I feel like I'm getting a bit tidy, because then we can start putting things together, can't we? So I'll put my my stencil back in its little home as well. And this is such a lovely pattern. It's such a cool kind of Aztec type pattern, but can be used for so many different things. So I'll pop that back in there. And now it's time to do a bit of colouring in. So I might zoom in a little bit so you can see me colour these in. These, again, although they are, you know, they're character stamps, they're actually not that difficult to colour in, because both of your camels are going to be similar sort of colours. You can do them in different shades of grey. I like to use the E43 and E42 to 41, just to make them like a little bit of a sandy brown kind of a colour, which I think fits with the theme. So we'll just add a bit of our darkest shade, the E43, in all of the areas that are going to be darkest and kind of around the outside edge of everywhere. I'll leave his little muzzle a different colour, I think. So I'm just outlining everything as we go along. And I'll leave the tip of his tail a different colour. I might do that in a bit of a paler sand colour, and then we'll do around the tassels on his little, I don't know what this is really, it's just a bit of decoration on his hump. Maybe it's where his kind of little saddle would be, but I hate the thought of poor little camels carrying tourists around. They just need to be chilling in the sunshine, don't they? So E43 and then a bit of E42, and again all I'm doing is going over that that external line that I've put on, the outer line, blending the edge of that out to then meet in the middle somewhere. So we're blending all of that edge out so that it looks softer, and then creating like a little bit of a hole in the middle, if you like, where our lightest shade is going to go. So let's do around here, around his face. His legs are pretty much done all inside of the leg because there's not going to be a lot of light cast in there. And then again, I'll just leave a tiny bit of lighter shade in the centre of the humps. And then E41 is my lightest shade, so that's going to go right in the middle there. So again, I'm just taking the edge off the outer line to blend that all together. And I feel like maybe the muzzle would be maybe a bit of a greyer colour. But at this point is when I like to do a little bit of blush pink. So I take the R20 and add a little bit of pink to those cheeks. That's really cute. And then I think I'm going to go with, let me think, we could go with a warm grey. You've also got the E71, which is kind of almost a purpley brown, which would go quite nicely with our theme, wouldn't it? So, oh, excuse me, dropping things. And this is the E74, which is the cocoa brown, which I think is quite a cute colour. Or you could go with some warm greys, which again, they work quite well as a contrast against this colour. I think I'm going to go with the warm greys rather than the purpley greys. So warm grey 3 all around the muzzle there. Warm grey there. Oh, I forgot to do his little tongue. Warm grey on the tail. And then for this little tuft of fluff on or hair, I don't think it's going to be very fluffy actually. I imagine that camel's fur or hair is going to be quite coarse. That's my feeling that it might be. So I'm just doing a little bit of a darker shade of the grey, so the warm grey 5 this is. Doing that in the centre of this tuft of hair, the base of that tail, and then around the edge of the face. And we can blend those in with that lighter shade then as well, just so that they look like it's meant to be there. And then the final touch I think would be, if I had I don't think I've got the warm grey 7 that I had has actually run out, I think. I need to order some more, but oh no, it doesn't, it seems to be okay now. So we'll use that for the nose. So really dark grey for the nose, and the centre of the tuft, the little tufty bit, and the tail. Just, I don't know, I just felt like it needed a bit more in there. There we go. That's looking cute. So for our for the bits around here, if you think about where they're going to sit on our background, so if I bring over my card base, one's going to sit at the top, one's going to sit at the bottom. So if I do opposing colours, or in fact was one going to sit kind of in the middle and one at the top, so we need opposing colours really, don't we? So if we do one in a yellow and maybe one in a purple, we might be onto something. So I'm going to use, this is a gorgeous fluorescent dull, it's called fluorescent dull violet, which I find a really strange kind of description really, because I don't think it is dull at all, but I'm mixing that with the amethyst, the V17, and then we'll mix it with a bit of, let's mix it with a bit of orange for our tassels, and then for this one we'll do the opposite, we'll do orange around the outside, and we'll do a bit of yellow for the tassels. Just keeping it nice and simple. And then my cute little cactus, I'm going to use just a simple YG17 from the bottom around the edges. This will just add a little bit of a pop of colour of green that we don't currently have. So we're going all the way around the edges there. Bit of YG13 in the middle. That's cute. So cute. And I think I might even just deepen that up a little bit. What's this colour looking like? It's a bit too bright green. I think maybe the YG07 or the YG09 is quite a nice colour to contrast. So if we just want a little bit more of a deeper green, then this one's quite a nice one to add. Yeah, like that. And then we can blend that back out, you see, with that YG17. Lovely. And that just gives a bit more contrast then with the paler green. Otherwise it can just look a little bit flat. Don't forget your little pink cheeks. Love their little pink cheeks. And then I think we're good to go. So let's pop all of our colours back in their little homes. So we like to tidy up as we go. Otherwise I just end up in just a world of just mess. And obviously you know that Maisie loves to come and investigate, and oh god, you can't leave things lying around because they'll be all over the place. So I'm going to zoom back out a little bit so that you can see me doing a bit of die cutting now, she says. Now I've zoomed in instead of out. There we go. Do I know what I'm doing? Sometimes. So we've got now, oh goodness, we've got our two little camels, and we've got our little cacti. There we go. And we'll save that little scrap of card and this one that we didn't use. They can pop back in there. And then we've also got our sentiments here. So there isn't a die for the holiday sentiment, so I'm just going to pop my reading glasses on so I can see what I'm doing, because I am literally going to just chop this down. You could use your trimmer, but because it's just a simple rectangle, I am just going to be brave and just eyeball it. One top tip for cutting a straight line like this is don't look where you're cutting, look where you're finishing. So look at where your the tip of your scissors is going to cut last, and that's where you need to focus on, and that will help you get as straight as possible when you're cutting. It's not perfect, but it is it's not bad. It's really not bad. So I need a little multi-liner. This is a Copic multi-liner, and I'm going to just go over this sentiment just to fill in any gaps that we've got, so that that looks like it's meant to be. And I'm going to take my smaller scissors here now to chop this one out. So I'm going to fussy cut around this, leaving a small gap like you would find on our coordinating dies, and I am moving my cardstock and not my scissors, which is again a top tip for getting a really good finish. Now obviously this is a super small sentiment, and if you would rather just use, you know, just cut it into a square, you don't have to faff like I did. So let's have a look at our dies then, because we will have a coordinating die for the camel with me, and obviously we've got coordinating dies for our little characters. So we've got our guy. Oh, I've still not coloured in his little tongue. I even mentioned it and still didn't do it. There we go. His little tongue coloured in. So that's for that one. That's for that one. We've got our first little cactus and our little chubby cactus, and then the camel with me sentiment just there. So I'll just check up on some comments. So Naslie's just watching the process. What is my #1 Distress Oxide ink? That is such a good question. And the black would also be nice on the coloured background. The black would be lovely on the coloured background actually. And in a way I'm a little bit kind of wishing that I'd done that, because I think that would stand out really, really well, wouldn't it? And we can still do that, because we could just stick that over the top, couldn't we? Might be worth having a little play with that, because that might stand out better than the white, mightn't it? I might do that. You've given me an idea there. You've definitely given me food for thought. So my #1 Distress Oxide ink, that was the other question, wasn't it? Oh, that's really hard. What would be my go-to? What do I always go to? The 8 that we've picked are my go-to shades. You see me use them all the time, and I guess it does depend what project we're doing as to which one would work. So I could give you like maybe my top colour combinations, because I always combine 2 or 3 shades together. So I think if you were to do a worn lipstick and a scattered straw together, oh, that's just beautiful, because you get a lovely little bit of orange in the middle. So those two would be really lovely. I love the Twisted Citron. Oh, it's really hard. And I love a dried marigold as well. You see, but they're not all standalone, are they? You use them together to get the maximum effect. So, oh, yeah, I think I'd struggle to just pick one. That's why we've got 8 of them. And obviously we've got our original Brights range, because these are pastel shades, like the Scattered Straw and the Worn Lipstick, but in our original brushes we've got, you know, the orange, we've got the aqua colour, we've got more of I guess more of a squeezed lemonade colour of yellow. We've got more of a mowed lawn green, which again is an absolute classic. We've probably got more of a, I would say probably more of a salty ocean blue. So yeah, and then obviously we've got the wilted violet purple in there as well, which is a firm favourite. And the orange, I would say, is probably a bit of a the right persimmon orange. So I honestly can't choose. It's really tough. I would say it would have to be like a top 2 rather than a top 1. And that would then probably be, I think, my go-to for most things would be the Worn Lipstick and the Scattered Straw. And then if I was doing, you know, more projects that were kind of outdoor projects, maybe the Twisted Citron and the Mowed Lawn colour greens would be up there as well. But yeah, it's too hard. I can't choose. Nasli says red and purple and go for the black. The black would be so nice on the coloured background. I think so. So shall we cut this out in some black cardstock and see what we think? I'm just going to see if I've got a piece of black cardstock here that might be exactly the right size, which is very serendipitous, isn't it? Because this actually is the perfect sizing for a slimline die. So let's cut this down and we'll have a play with doing it in black. And this is, you know, you were saying about watching my process. This is how card making, you know, just works, isn't it? That you start off with one idea in your head, but then as the project develops, it turns into something else. Because it's only once you start seeing it all together that actually you realise what's going to look great. And I always say to myself, and I say to, you know, to you guys as well, don't be afraid to mix it up and change your original plan. Don't you know, force something. If it's not working, just reevaluate it and start again, or do something different, because you know, sometimes you can get yourself really frustrated because something's not working out exactly as you thought it would. But if you just are open to changing it, actually you might end up with something even more incredible than you originally planned on. So we've now got this beautiful black with the stitching, and we're going to lay this on top of what we've already got. So yes, it's got the white in between, but that really doesn't matter. And I actually think that black there, let me just move that up a little bit, that really pops against that background so beautifully. So yeah, great idea, love that. Let's go with it. So I'm going to add my glue onto the back of here. So we've got a lot of dimension now on the back of here, which is really cool, because we do love a bit of dimension. And we've got all our characters all stamped now and die cut, and our cool sentiment that we've made up. And Aunt's going to be buzzing because this card, I'm going to put, I could even put our little, like, make up like a little fake boarding pass and pop this inside. How cute would that be if you had just like a little cute fake boarding pass inside? Or the tags for our luggage inside. Be so cute. So I'm just going to trim off the excess. Now we know what we're doing and that this is the card size that we want. I'm just going to trim off this excess, and that'll neaten that up beautifully. Love that. Great. So now we've got all our little characters, we can figure out where we want some of these guys to sit. So let's get one of our little, and these will all be popped up as well on some foam. So we've got a little guy there, and this guy poking his tongue out. He's super cute. Let's see. Pop all of these back. I've got magnetic sheets on the back of my dies here, so that I don't lose any of my dies. Keeps them all neat and tidy and in place. And we've got our adorable little, so we've got Camel with Me. We pop that, I think I'm going to pop that against there. We've got this guy here, or should we pop that there? I think it gets lost in the background. I want him to be just there. We'll pop this guy maybe just here, or do we do this way around? Yeah, do that this way around. So come all with me on holiday. Love that. We'll pop the on there. Do we do holiday there, this there, this there, this just there? Come all with me on holiday. That one there, and that one just there. That's perfect. That is so cute. What are we thinking? That looks so cute. I hope you can see that. I'm a bit off screen, aren't I? Sorry, I was just so in the zone of just figuring out what I was doing. So we need to pop some of these characters up, but obviously bits of them are going to be laying on our frame, so we just need to be a bit careful how we position our foam tape, but that's okay. We can do that. So for example, this guy and this guy, they're quite easy to do. So we'll just cut a little lump that goes on their hump pretty much. So a little lump on the hump, and then their head is going to be supported, the feet are going to be supported there. This guy's the same. He needs a little bit in his middle, just here. So, and then he's going to sit just there. And then these guys, I think they will probably just stick on top of that that little frame, but this one needs a little bit of popping up, so I'm going to use some of this narrower tape for that one. That one will go just there, so that can just overlap but sit above it. And then this guy, I think we will pop him up. I'm struggling to pick him up, so I'm going to use my quick sticks tool for that, and then I'll just use a little bit of this foam tape in the middle there, and then we can start popping these on. So this little guy is going in there. Need a bit of glue on his head and on his feet. I'll just pop him there. Camel with me. Do we just pop that a little bit lower maybe? Let's try that. There, just along the bottom, because the top is going to overlap ever so slightly, isn't it? Should we try that? Doesn't quite overlap, but I think that that's okay. That's pretty good just there. Perhaps needs an extra little piece on there actually, because we've added foam and 2 lots of cardstock. It's actually a little bit deeper, so let's just add a bit more tape on there so that it does fully overlap. Oh, that's much better. That is much better. So that can go just there. And then this guy needs a little bit on there, maybe a bit on his hump. I don't think I took the backing tape off the previous one, did I? Did I do that? I can't remember. I mean, he will stick, so it's fine. He doesn't really need that foam tape coming off the back. But yeah, I think maybe he's just stuck on with his head, but he won't collapse because he has got the foam tape in between. So that's funny. So we've got this tiny little on here that we created. So I'm just going to use the tiniest little bit of foam on the back there, and we'll remove the back of that. Actually, I mean, that could just sit on there, couldn't it, without the foam tape? What do you think? Or do we just slot that in the middle there? Come with me. Doesn't want to play ball. Come with me on holiday. Bit of glue on the back of this guy. He'll just rest nicely there. And then same with this guy. We'll just add a bit of glue on the bottom because he's just going to overlap. Again, is he dipping a bit much? Yeah, he's dipping a little bit. So we'll do the same as we did with the top one. And we'll add a bit more tape along the back so that he's got double the amount of tape on there, and then he's definitely going to sit up above that that frame. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Love that. So here we go. So we've not done bad actually. This is so beautiful. Can you use a bigger on? Well, we could use a bigger on, but I don't have a specific on sentiment. We've created this ourselves. I could use the Tippy Tappy typewriter, but I feel like the font would then be, it wouldn't be in balance. It would be a little bit out of place. So that's why we've gone with the same sort of sizings, because this then it correlates with the sizes within this stamp set. So if we'd got capital on, that might have worked better, but I still think it works. I think it looks very cute. So I'm using my Jelly Roll pen, and I'm going to add a few little highlights here and there, as you know we like to do. So a few little highlights on our little camels, a few little highlights on his tufts and on his hump, and then also on his little decoration, his little dress that he's got. Same for our little cactus. We'll give him a few little freckles, and then a few little little highlights that look a little bit like his little spikes, and then we'll do the same on all of the characters. So a little combination of little dashes and highlights just brings them to life a little bit and makes them look a little bit more I suppose a bit more cartoony, a bit more illustrative. And I love the way that looks, the effect that gives. It's got a few little chin whiskers there, a little bit on our cactus here. And I think that means we're almost done. I guess the last thing that you could do, which would also be really nice, would be to add a few little enamel dots. So let's grab my poke tool, and again I like to use the clear enamel dots because they don't really take anything away from our project, but they just add a little bit of something to our background. So I'm just dotting these about, not really worrying about where I'm placing them too much, but I'm kind of creating this kind of effect. So so yeah, that's a few little dots on there. Might as well use all of these up, because why the devil not? I'll just pop another one down there. And there we go, that's our finished card. Come with me on holiday. So yeah, this is going to be a great little card to give to Anne. Because that's where we're going. We're going on holiday. Oh, loved that. That was so good. And that's all of my enamel dots gone out of that set now. Oh no. I have to restock. We'll have to go to the warehouse and restock. So that's our crafting live done for this evening. Thank you so much for helping me. Nasli says it's a perfect card. I love it. Imagine the on the hump. Oh, that would be so cute on these little hump. That would be a great idea. I want you to go and recreate this in all the different ways that is possible to do, because that's what's so amazing about this, is that you could make this a million times and it would come out completely different, wouldn't it? But I love that we've made our own bespoke little sentiment and our own personalised card using a couple of different stamp sets and just a bit of imagination, and it's all just, you know, worked out so well. So thank you so much everyone for helping me with this. I've loved making this. I've loved my last crafting live before we go away. Like I say, this has just been so much fun to do, because I've not thought about all of the lists that I've had that I've still got waiting for me until now. So for the last hour and a half, all I've thought about is how we can make this adorable card. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your comments and chatting along with me. It's been so good. And I will see you on the 14th, I think it is. The 14th of June will be our next crafting live, unless we end up being completely bogged down with the amount of work that we've got to do that week, but I will let you all know. So if you're not already a subscriber, please do get on to our subscriber list, and we'll send you a newsletter with all the latest release information and all the updates on our next crafting live sessions. Thank you so much everyone. Thank you Annalisa, thank you Nasli for your lovely comments, and I will see you all when we get back from our hauls. See you soon guys, bye.